My name is Natalie, and I have an interview with one of the members of the band Edge of Attack on June 13, 2016. First of all, who are you and what do you do in the band?
I'm Jurekk, and I play guitar, do backup vocals, record, and mix and master the songs, and write most of them too.
It's been 3 years since we last spoke or heard anything from you guys.
Yeah.
So what has the band been up to between now and then?
Nothing. Nothing really. We've been slowly working on things in the studio and not really playing. I think we played a couple shows here and there. But I had that Cobra and the Lotus thing happen, and that took up quite a bit of time. So yeah, the band hasn't really been up to that much. We obviously just announced our disbanding, breaking up, whatever we're going to call it. And also, we released the album for whatever people could afford. Not that I'm sure everybody's just getting it for free anyways. So yeah, that's basically what we're up to in a nutshell.
Can you give me a brief summary as to why the band decided to call it quits? And is this a permanent decision, or will the band be coming back later on, like all bands do? They say that they're done, and then a few years later, oh, we're back again.
No, we weren't really that into it, right? I was into it, but Roxanne has she's a full-time tattoo artist, and everybody else has full-time jobs or kids. Mm-hmm. And nobody just had the time to do it anymore, right? To do it properly anyways, to go out and do tours and stuff. And as far as us getting back together again, we might do a goodbye show here locally. But I doubt that's it. Well, there's also other things too, like our trademark expired. So I can't afford to redo the trademark. That's thousands of dollars. So, yeah.
In 2015, you mentioned of announcing a new EP, new album, and heading out on tour. What happened to all of that? Did any of it happen?
We did the EP, and then we finished the EP, and then I got hired with Cobra and the Lotus, and then that took, like I said, it took a lot of my time away from doing anything. Mm-hmm. And, by the time I came back from doing that, there was, the sizzle had kind of died, right? Nobody was really asking a lot of questions about it, and then we kept working on it, released the EP locally, and then just kept working on the album. And finally one day I had enough. I was just like, you know what, I hate doing this whole, order the CDs, get the CDs printed, send it out to reviews, do, all this other stuff, send it to distribution, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, fuck it, here's the album. Just post it on.
Three years ago, when we did last speak, you mentioned of, the EP. Is the EP the so-called sophomore album, Feet of Possession, or is it they're both two different things?
The songs that were on the EP, the EP was called Fiend of Possession, mm-hmm. And then I just kept it because we'd never really gotten around to finishing it, coming up with a new name and coming up with the new artwork and stuff, so they're one and the same thing. I think the songs that were on it before were Fiend of Possession, A Skies Turn Black, and A Walk of Ashes. Mm-hmm. Those would have been the songs that were on the EP originally, and now those are on the album too, so.
In that same discussion, you mentioned that there were going to be music videos to be made, but you guys have only had 2 of them, In Hell and Forever. Were there any other videos that were made that never got released that we'll get to see, or nothing became of that?
No. Back then we were still going strong, right? So we were gonna do the typical album release thing, which is you release a single, you release a music video for that single, you release another single, and then you release the album, you go on tour, blah blah blah, right? All of those things kind of go and intertwine with just a normal release for an album. Mm-hmm. But we just didn't have the resources to pull it off, right? Music videos aren't cheap. They really aren't cheap. So, I don't know. If people really want a music video, what I'll do is I'll film it on my smartphone around my house with my dogs. and then
There you go. You mentioned that you were going to have different guest vocalists appear on the EP or album. Did any of that happen, or no?
oh yeah. Oddly enough, Roxanne isn't even on half the new Edge of Attack album. It's nothing against Roxanne, because a couple of the songs were actually going to be in my solo project, and then I just didn't have the effort to go through with it. But I didn't want these people who had done these guest vocals to, do their work for nothing. So there's lots here. Let me just quickly pull up. We'll see who I got on this album. I know all their names. It's just not in order. Okay, so we've got on Revolution, that one. I'm doing the clean vocals, and then James Arsenian, he's a singer for X's for Eyes, and he also does the company Right Hook Mics. He makes the microphones. Death's Cold Embrace is Dan Vask. I came across Dan on YouTube. I saw one of his covers of I can't even remember, but I saw one of his covers on YouTube, and he's from Brazil. And I'm just like, hey, want to do some stuff? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then there's Hess Milani. She's from the band Hess. She added me on Facebook, and she posted a cover of Neon Nights. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome. I want you to sing some shit for me. This guy's turned black, Ivan Giannini. He was on the last album. He did Demon with Northern Seas with Roxanne. Walk of Ashes, Rob Lundgren, same thing. Found him on YouTube, thought it was great. And then, yeah, the other one is also by Dan. So, yeah, there's lots of guest singers on it. I've always been a fan of that. It keeps it interesting. Right? In my opinion anyways, it keeps it interesting to hear a bunch of different voices all the time.
Besides this album, was there any other music that didn't make the cut that we might see later? Like, I've heard, so many bands, well, we wrote 20 songs in this album, but only 10 made it to the cut. Well, what about those other songs? Are we ever going to hear that, or nope? It's in the trash.
Yeah. Obviously, there was a lot of B-sides, right? There's a lot of songs that started out, we did some work to them, and I didn't really like them, and no, you won't hear them, because if I don't like them, then they're not going to come out. I won't release anything I don't like. But then there's also songs that, there was the song Death's Cold Embrace. It's kind of like an Egyptian scale to the song. And I had written it and recorded it and then put my own shitty vocals on it. And just didn't like the way it sounded for I let it sit for 2 years. And then finally I'm like, fuck, I wonder what this sounded like with some actual real singers. And then, sure as shit, it sounds really good with good singers. So that's lesson learned there. Don't hate a song because I suck at singing.
Did anything become of your solo project that you were doing, or nothing?
No, not really. Finding musicians, especially where we live up here in the north, is pretty hard to do. Technically, I guess whatever I do after this point will be a solo project. So I don't know. I'll always be making music. So just watch on my YouTube for music.
Since the band has called it quits, what can we expect to see from you guys as far as the future? As far as the band and yourselves in general.
Well, you can expect me to be doing something, and as far as Trevor, with our old drummer, he quit doing it because he didn't like touring, so I don't know if you'll see much from him. I know Cam, our bass player, and Cass, the other vocalist, they have their other band that they're going called Gunslinger. And Roxanne, if you hear from her again, it probably won't be in a metal band. It'll probably be a folky rock band.
And is there anything else you would like to add or say to the fans out there?
Well, my fans are awesome. Now buy my shit so I don't go broke.